He was a tight-fisted hand at the grindstone, Scrooge. A squeezing, wrenching, grasping, scraping, clutching, covetous old sinner, hard and sharp as flint, from which no steel ever struck out generous fire, secret and self-contained, and solitary as an oyster. The cold froze his old features, nipped his pointed nose, shriveled his cheek, stiffened his gait, made his eyes red, his thin lips blue, and spoke out shrewdly in his grating voice. A frosty rime was on his eyebrows and his wiry chin. He carried his own low temperature always about with him. He iced his office in the dog days and didn't thaw it 1 degree at Christmas. The door of Scrooge's counting house was open so that he might keep his eye upon his clerk, who in a dismal little cell beyond, a sort of hovel, was copying letters. Scrooge had a very small fire, but the clerk's fire was so very much smaller that it looked like one coal. But he couldn't replenish it, for as surely as the clerk came in with the shovel, the master predicted that it would be necessary for them to part. So Bob Cratchit put on his long white sweater and attempted to warm himself at the candle, at which, of course, he failed.
A Merry Christmas, Uncle. God save you.
Blah, humbug!
You don't mean that, I'm sure.
What right do you have to be merry? You're poor enough.
What right have you to be dismal? You're rich enough.
Ah, humbug!
Don't be cross, Uncle.
How else can I be when I live in such a world of fools? If I could work my will, then every idiot that goes about with Merry Christmas on his lips should be boiled in his own pudding and buried with a stake of holly through his heart.
Uncle!
Nephew, you keep Christmas in your own way and let me keep it in mine.
But you don't keep it.
Much good it has ever done you.
I'm sure I have always thought of Christmas time as a good time. A kind, forgiving, charitable, pleasant time. The only time I know of in the long calendar of the year when men and women seem by one consent to open their shut-up hearts freely and to think of people below them as if they really were fellow passengers to the grave and not another race of creatures bound on other journeys. And therefore, Uncle, though it has never put a scrap of gold or silver in my pocket, I believe it has done me good and will do me good. And I say, God bless it.
One more sound out of you, and you'll keep Christmas by losing your situation.
Don't be angry, Uncle. Come dine with us tomorrow.
I have one question for you, Fred. Why did you ever get married?
Because I fell in love.
Because you fell in love. Good afternoon.
You never came to see me at Christmas before I was married.
Good afternoon.
I'm sorry with all my heart to find you so resolute. We have never had any quarrel, but I have made my trial and homage on Christmas, and I'll keep my Christmas humor to the last. So, a Merry Christmas, Uncle.
Good afternoon.
Merry Christmas, Mr. Cratchit.
Merry Christmas, Mr. Fred.
Cratchit earns 15 shillings a week, has a wife and family, and talks of a Merry Christmas. I'll retire to Bedlam.
At this very festive season of the year, Mr. Scrooge, it is more than usually desirable that we should make some slight provision for the poor and destitute, who suffer greatly at the present time. Many thousands are in want of common necessaries. Hundreds of thousands are in want of common comforts, sir.
Are there no prisons or poorhouses?
Plenty.
And the poor laws are still in effect?
Yes, but under the impression they scarcely furnish Christian cheer of mind or body to the multitudes. A few of us are endeavoring to raise a fund to buy the poor some meat and drink and means of warmth. We choose this time because it is a time of all others when want is keenly felt and abundance rejoices. And what shall I put you down for?
Nothing.
You wish to be anonymous. How grand!
I wish to be left alone. I help to support the prisons and the poorhouses. Those who are badly off should go there.
You would rather die.
Then they had better do it. Help decrease the surplus population. Good afternoon.
Foggier yet and colder, piercing, searching, biting cold, that nipped the nose with a touch of such weather that could freeze you in a minute. The owner of one frozen young nose, gnawed and mumbled by the hungry cold, as bones are gnawed by dogs, stooped down at Scrooge's keyhole to regale him with a Christmas carol.
God rest ye merry gentlemen, and nothing in the fair.
Oh, richest Scrooge of London town, I'm not really asking much. One piece of coal to stoke the fire and warm my such and such. My fingers are all frozen, too cold to write your books. Oh, give me warmth at Christmas and not just dirty looks.
Oh, Warren Bob of Cratchit Band, you're lucky to have a job. If I give more, then I'll be more another dirty slob. Just work a little faster to generate some heat. Go double time and you'll be fine. It might just reach your feet. Oh, poor Bob of Cratchit Land, you're lucky to have a job. If I give more, then I'll be for another dirty slob. Just work a little faster, you generate some heat. Go double time and you'll be fine. It might just reach your feet. It might just reach your feet.
I suppose you'll want the whole day tomorrow.
If quite convenient, sir.
It is neither convenient or fair. If I deducted ½ a crown from your wages, you'd feel ill-used. But do you think me ill-used if I pay a full day's wages for no work?
It's only once a year, sir.
A poor excuse for picking my pocket. But I suppose you must have the whole day. But be here early the next morning.
Yes, sir.
Scrooge walked out with a growl. The office was closed in a twinkling, and Bob Cratchit, with the long ends of his white scarf dangling below his waist, went down the slide on Cornhill, at the end of the lane of boys, 20 times, in honor of its being Christmas Eve, and then ran home to Camden Town as hard as he could to play at blind man's buff. Scrooge took his melancholy dinner in his usual melancholy tavern, and having read all the newspapers and spent the rest of the evening with his banker's book, went home to bed. He lived in chambers which had once belonged to his deceased partner. It was a gloomy suite of rooms where it had so little business to be, and was old enough now, and dreary enough, for nobody lived in it but Scrooge, the other rooms being let out as offices. The yard was so dark that even Scrooge, who knew its every stone, was fain to grope with his hands. The frost and frogs so hung about the black old gateway of the house that it seemed as if the genius of the weather sat in mournful meditation on the threshold. Scrooge had not bestowed one thought on Marley since his last mention of his 7 years dead partner that afternoon. So explain to me, if you can, how it happened that Scrooge, having his key in the lock of the door, saw in the knocker, without its undergoing any visible process of change, not the knocker, but Marley's face.
Pooh-pooh! Humbug! It's humbug still, I tell you. Hello! What do you want with me?
Much.
Who are you?
Ask me who I was.
Who were you then?
In life, I was your partner, Jacob Marley. You don't believe in me.
I don't know.
Why do you doubt your senses?
Little things affect them. A slight disorder of the stomach, some undigested beef, a blot of mustard, an undercooked potato. You may be more gravy than the grave. Do you see this toothpick?
I do.
But you are not looking at it.
I still can see it.
Humbug, I tell you. Mercy, dreadful apparition! Why do you trouble me?
Do you believe in me?
Yes, but why do you come to me?
Your spirit does not go forth in life. It is doomed in death to wander through the world.
Jacob, tell me more. Speak some comfort to me.
I have none for you. Your chain was as full and heavy as mine 7 Christmas Eves ago. It is a very slow business.
7 years dead, traveling all the time.
The whole time. No rest, no peace. The incessant torture of remorse. You, like me, are captive, bound in double iron. No space of regret can make amends for one life's opportunity misused.
Jacob, don't be hard upon me. Don't be flowery, Jacob.
I am here tonight to warn you that you have yet a chance and hope of escaping my fate. A chance and hope.
You're always a good friend to me, Jacob.
You will be visited by 3 spirits. Without their help, you cannot shun the path I travel. Expect the first tomorrow when the bell tolls 1. The second the next night at the same hour. And then on the third night, when the last stroke of midnight stops vibrating. For your own sake, remember what has passed between us. Oh, Scrooge, please heed whate'er I say. Your time is running short. Each hour nigh will fill your eye with insights of a sort. Come past, present, and future with slices of your life. Please see with more than just a snore. You might avoid the night.
He came to me as bright as day upon a midnight clear. My former partner Jacob M. alive upon the pier. He said, what I do daily will make my future hell. What does he know? His shadow grows because I dream in fear.
Because I dream in fear.
The air was filled with phantoms wandering hither and thither in restless haze and moaning as they went. Every one of them wore chains like Marley's ghost. Some were linked together, none were free. Many had been previously known to Scrooge in their lives and cried piteously at being unable to assist anyone. The misery with them all was clearly that they sought to interfere for good in human matters and had lost all power forever. Whether these creatures faded into mist or mist enshrouded them, he could not tell. But they and their spirit voices faded together, and the night became as it had been when he walked home. He went straight to bed and fell asleep instantly. When Scrooge awoke, it was terribly dark. Marley's ghost bothered him exceedingly. His mind flew back again like a strong spring released to its first position and presented the same problem to be worked all through. Was it a dream or not? Scrooge lay in this state until the chime had gone 3/4 more, when he remembered on a sudden that the ghost had warned him of a visitation when the bell tolled 1. He resolved to go to sleep, and considering that he could no more do this than go to heaven, he decided to remain awake. This was perhaps the wisest resolution in his power. The chimes on a neighboring church struck the 4 quarters, so he listened for the hour.
Ding dong! 1/4 the hour. Ding dong! 1/2 the hour. Ding dong! 1/4 the hour. Ding dong! The stroke of 1 and nothing else.
He spoke before the hour bell sounded, which it now did, with a deep, dull, melancholy one. Lights flashed up in the room upon the instant.
Are you the spirits whose coming was foretold?
We are. We are.
Who are you?
We are the ghosts of Christmas past, transported in time from a heath near Macbeth's castle. We 3 cooks of witchery brew, stirring vile things in our stew, tempting Scrooge with smells of childhood specially made for you. Oh, eye of newt and toe of frog, rotting fruit and skin of hog, throw in just a touch of peppermint, filthy fleas from our dog. Now the tricks to get him to see, leave the bowl right there in the sink. He's so cheap, he can't stand wasting it. All he will drink. Oh, eye of newt and toe of frog, rotting fruit and skin of hog, throw in just a touch of peppermint, filthy fleas from our dog. One small sip will force him to see everything he wanted was free. Love and marriage, horse and carriage, never again to be. Oh, eye of newt and toe of frog, rotting fruit and skin of hog, throw in just a touch of peppermint, filthy fleas from our dog.
Macbeth's past?
No, no, no! Scrooge is past! Rise, and come walk with us. Bear a touch of our hand, and you shall see the past.
I was born in this place. I was a boy here.
It's trembling.
It's nothing. Spirits, conduct me where you will.
Do you know the way?
I could walk it blindfolded.
These are the shadows of the past. They have no consciousness of us.
The jocund travelers came on, and as they came, Scrooge knew and named them, every one. Why was he rejoiced beyond all bounds to see them? Why did his cold eye glisten and his heart leap up as they went past? Why was he filled with gladness when he heard them give each other Merry Christmas as they parted at crossroads and byways for their several homes? What was Merry Christmas to Scrooge? Out upon Merry Christmas! What good had it ever done to him?
The school is not quite deserted. A solitary child, neglected by his friends, is left there still.
Why, it's old Ali Baba. One Christmas time, when that boy was home alone, dear old honest Ali Baba came, and the Sultan and the genie and the princess. Look, there's the parrot with the green body and the yellow tail, and Robin Crusoe, and Friday running for his life to the little creek. Hello! Oh, hello!
What's the matter?
It's nothing. But I wish I'd given something to that little girl singing a Christmas carol at my door last night.
Let us see. Let us see. Another Christmas.
I have come to take you home, little brother. Home, home, home.
Home, Fan?
Yes, home for good, forever and ever. Father is much kinder than he used to be. You're to be a man and to never come back here. We're to be together all the Christmas long and have the merriest time in the world.
You are quite a woman, Fan.
Bring down Master Scrooge's box.
Fan was always such a delicate creature, whom a breath might wither. But she had a good heart.
She died a young woman, but had one child.
Yes, my nephew, Fred.
Do you know this place?
No, I was apprenticed here. Why, it's dear old Fezziwig, bless his heart. It's Fezziwig alive again.
Hey-ho, clear away, my lads. Let's have lots of room. Hey-ho, cheer up, Ebenezer.
Clear away? There was nothing they wouldn't have cleared away, or couldn't have cleared away, with old Fezziwig looking on. It was done in a minute. Every movable was packed off, as if it were dismissed from public life forevermore. The floor was swept and watered, the lamps were trimmed, fuel was heaped upon the fire, and the warehouse was as snug and warm and dry and bright a ballroom as you would desire to see upon a winter's night. There were dances, and there were forfeits, and there were more dances, and there was cake, and there was a great piece of cold roast, and there was a great piece of boiled turkey, and there were mince pies, and plenty of beer. But the great effect of the evening came after the roast and oil, when the fiddler struck up a new tune. Then old Fezziwig stood out to dance with Mrs. Fezziwig, top couple too, with a good stiff piece of work cut out for them. When the clock struck midnight, Mr. Lester broke up. Mr. and Mrs. Fezziwig took their stations on either side of the door, and shaking hands with every person individually as he or she went out, wished him or her a Merry Christmas.
A small matter to make these silly folks full of gratitude.
Small?
He has spent but a few pounds of your mortal money. Is that so much that they deserve such praise from the guests?
But the Fezziwigs have the power to render you happy or unhappy, a pleasure or a toil. Their power lies in words and looks. The happiness they give is as great as if it cost a fortune.
What's the matter?
What's the matter?
What's the matter?
It's nothing. But I would like to have a word or two with my clerk, Bob Cratchit.
Our time grows short. Quick, one shadow more.
I do not wish to see it. No more! No more!
Now Scrooge looked on more attentively than ever, when the master of the house, having his daughter leaning fondly on him, sat down with her and her mother at his own fireside. And when he thought that such another creature, quite as graceful and full of promise, might have called him father, and been a springtime in the haggard winter of his life, his sight grew very dim indeed.
Belle, I saw an old friend of yours this afternoon. Guess who it was?
How can I? Don't I know? Mr. Scrooge?
Mr. Scrooge it was. I passed by his office window, and he had a candle inside. I could scarcely help seeing him. His partner lies upon the point of death, I hear. And there he sat, alone. Quite alone in the world, I do believe.
Spirits, remove me from this place.
Shadows of the past.
Shadows of the past!
Leave me!
Shadows of
Leave
the
me!
past.
Put me over!
Now, being prepared for almost anything, he was not by any means prepared for nothing. And consequently, when the bell struck one and no shape appeared, he was taken with a violent fit of trembling. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, a quarter of an hour went by, yet nothing came. All this time, he lay upon the bed, the very core and center of a blaze of ruddy light, which streamed upon it when the clock proclaimed the hour, and which, being only light, was more alarming than a dozen ghosts.
Who are you?
I am the ghost of Christmas present, Hamlet's father. Look upon me, you have never seen the like of me before. I am known to provoke action in a world of inaction by holding up a mirror to your life.
Spirit, conduct me where you will. Last night I learned a lesson on compulsion. Tonight, whatever you teach me, let me profit by it. But Spirit, tell me, why do you sprinkle your water on a poor person the most?
Because they need it the most, Ebenezer. I will take you to Bob Cratchit's house to show you what I mean.
Here's Martha, Mother.
Oh, hooray!
There's such a goose sparkle.
Why, bless your heart alive, my dear, how late you are. We had a great deal of work to finish off last night and had to clear away this morning, Mother. Well, never you mind as long as you come. Here, come have a warm by the fire. Lord bless you.
Oh no, here's Father coming. Hide, Martha, hide!
Why, where's our Martha?
Not coming.
Not coming? Not coming upon Christmas Day?
Here I am. And how does little Tim behave?
Oh, as good as gold, and better. Somehow he gets thoughtful, sitting by himself so much and thinks the strangest things you ever heard. He told me coming home that he hoped that people saw him in the church because he was a cripple, and it might be pleasant to them to remember upon Christmas Day.
Suppose it should not be done enough. Suppose it should break and turn him out. Suppose somebody should have got over the wall of the backyard and stolen it while they were merry with the goose. A supposition at which the two young Cratchits became livid. All sorts of horrors were supposed. However, a great deal of steam. The pudding was out of the copper. A smell like a washing day. That was the cloth. A smell like an eating house and a pastry cook's next door to each other, with a laundress's next door to that. That was the pudding. In half a minute, Mrs. Cratchit entered, flushed, but smiling proudly with the pudding, like a speckled cannonball so hard and firm, blazing in half of a quarter of ignited brandy, and bedighted with Christmas holly stuck into the heart.
This is the greatest success achieved by her mother since we were married.
At last the dinner was done. The fire swept, the tasted jug considered perfect, and a shovelful of chestnuts on the fire. All the Cratchit family drew round the hearth and toasted Christmas.
A Merry Christmas to us all, my dears. God bless us.
God bless us, everyone.
Oh, Spirit, tell me if Tiny Tim will live.
I see a vacant seat in a crutch, without an owner, carefully preserved.
No, no, kind Spirit. Say he will be spared.
If nothing changes in the future, none will find him here. What then? If he be like to die, he'd better do it and decrease the surplus population.
Have they no refuge or resource?
Are there no prisons? Are there no workhouses?
I give you Mr. Scrooge, the founder of the feast.
The founder of the feast!
I wish I had him here. I'll give him a piece of my mind. Hope you have a good appetite for it.
My dear, the children. My dear, Christmas Day.
I'll drink to his health for your sake, and the day's, but not his. Long life to him. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Mr. Scrooge will be very merry and happy, I have no doubt.
To Mr. Scrooge.
The founder of the feast!
Silent night, lonely night, no one here to make it right. All the money and things that I own, little solace when I am alone. Never sleep indeed, never sleep indeed.
Festive night, Tiny Tim, bless the Lord for saving him. Round our table meek and mild, celebrate the little child. Love will always bring peace. Love will always bring peace. Bless the man who gives us this bread.
many days, Scrooge sensed the presence of Caesar's ghost and fell down on his knees to detach its figure from the night and dispel its mysterious presence that filled him with solemn dread.
Am I in the presence of the ghost of Christmas yet to come?
These are the shadows of things that have not yet happened, but will happen in time.
Oh, ghost of the future, I fear you more than any other spirit, and I will bear your company and do it with a thankful heart.
As they flew over London, all the wonder and joy of Christmas activities spread out before them. 3 merchants were talking on the street about an untimely death the night before and daring each other to go to the funeral.
What has he done with his money?
God knows, I thought he'd never die.
Nothing to his company, perhaps. Certainly not a penny to me.
It's likely to be a very cheap funeral.
On my life, I don't know anybody who would go to it.
Well, I'll offer to go if somebody else will, but they'll have to give me a meal.
Cold, isn't it?
Seasonal for Christmas, though.
Not a skin roast.
No, just something else to think about. Good morning.
Caesar's ghost and Scrooge moved quickly to one of the poorest sections of town, an obscure part of town, where Scrooge had never penetrated before, although he recognized its situation and its bad repute. The ways were foul and narrow, the shops and houses wretched, the people half-naked, drunken, slipshod, ugly, alleys and archways, like so many cesspools, disgorged their offenses of smell and dirt and life upon the straggling streets and the whole quarter. Scrooge and the spirit of Caesar came just as a woman with a heavy bundle slunk into the shop. But she had scarcely entered when another woman, similarly laden, came in too, and she was closely followed by a man in faded black, who was no less startled by the sight of them than they had been upon the recognition of each other.
Let the charwoman alone to be the first. Let the laundress alone to be the second. Let the undertaker's man alone be the third.
Now look here, Joe, here's a chance. If we haven't all 3 met here without meaning it, I certainly shan't hold back my hand when I can get something for reaching it out for the sake of such a man as he was. I promise you, Joe.
Hey, don't drop that oil upon the blanket now.
This blanket? Well, whose do you think?
Isn't likely to take cold without them, I dare say. I hope he didn't die of anything catchy, eh? Don't you be afraid of that.
I ain't so fond of his company that I'd loiter about him for such things if he did.
Hey, you can look from this shirt till your eyes ache, but you won't find a hole in it, nor a threadbare place. It's a good shirt too, and the best he has.
But they'd have wasted it if it hadn't been for me.
What do you call wasting of it?
By putting it on him to be buried in.
Somebody was fool enough to do it, but I took it off again.
If cargo ain't good enough for such a purpose, it isn't good enough for Scrooge.
Scrooge listened to this dialogue in horror, as they sat grouped about their spoil in the scanty light afforded by the old man's lamp. He viewed them with a detestation and disgust, which could hardly have been greater, though they had been obscene demons marketing the corpse itself.
That's the last of it, you say. You frightened everyone away from him when he was alive to profit us when he was dead.
Let's go.
I see. The case of this unhappy man might be my own. My life tends that way now. Oh, merciful heavens, what is it? My house is yonder. Why do you point away?
Scrooge is jolted at once again and wonders why and whither he goes accompanied by Caesar's ghost, until they reach an iron gate. He paused to look round before entering. They enter a churchyard. Here, then, the wretched man, whose name he was now to learn, lay underneath the ground. It was a worthy place, walled in by houses, overrun by grass and weeds, the growth of vegetation's death.
You must go this way.
Before I draw nearer to the stone to which you point, answer me one question. Are these the shadows of things that will be? Things that may be only?
Men's courses will foreshadow certain ends to which, if persevered in, they must lead. But if the courses be departed from, the ends will change. It is thus with what I show you.
Ebenezer! Scrooge! Tell me, am I the man that lay upon the stone?
Yes.
Kneeling at my graveside, looking at my life, I have been so cruel, I have been a knife. If I get a second chance, I will turn around. Kneeling at my graveside, staring at the ground,
Pointing to your graveside, looking at your death, not much to redeem. Time is running out. You make it another chance. Futures can be changed. Pointing to your graveside, running round your grave.
kneeling at my graveside with a second heart, I will honor Christmas and keep it in my heart. Every day another sun, I will make it shine. Kneeling at my graveside, I will drink the wine. The spirits of the past, the present, and the future shall strive within me. I will not shut out the lessons they teach, but please, tell me if I may sponge away the writing off this stone. I will live in the past, the present, and the future. The spirits of all three shall strive within me. Jacob, heaven and Christmas time be praised for this. I say it on my knees, oh Jacob, on my knees.
He was so fluttered and so glowing with good intentions that his broken voice would scarcely answer to his call. His conflict with Caesar's ghost of Christmas future left him wet with tears, but giddy with happiness at his second chance.
The shadows of things that would be may be dispelled. They will be. I know they will. They are not set in stone. I don't know what to do. I'm as light as a feather, as happy as an angel, as merry as a schoolboy, as giddy as a drunken man. Merry Christmas, everybody, and a Happy New Year to all the world. You there! What day is it today?
Today, sir. Why, it's Christmas Day, sir.
It's Christmas Day! I haven't missed it. The spirits have done it all in one night. Well, they can do anything they like. Of course they can, of course they can. Hello, young lady. Do you know the poulterer in the next street on the corner?
I should hope I do.
Oh, an intelligent girl. Remarkable girl. Yes. Do you know if they've sold the prize turkey they have hanging there? Not the little prize turkey, the big one.
The one as big as me, sir?
A delightful girl. I do enjoy talking with her. Yes, young lady.
It's hanging there now.
Is it? Go and buy it.
That's a cool joke, sir. And on Christmas.
Are you in earnest? Here's the money. Go and buy it. Come back with the man. If you come back in 5 minutes with the man and the turkey, I'll give you a farthing. Come back in 5 minutes, I'll give you half a crown for yourself. I shall send it to Bob Cratchit's. He shan't know who sent it. It's twice the size of Tiny Tim.
Within minutes, the poulterer comes back with the prize turkey.
Oh, why, my good man, it's impossible to carry that to Camden Town. You must take a cab.
Thank you, Mr. Scrooge. You're so generous. I never thought I'd say those words.
Scrooge dressed himself all in his best clothes and ran out into the street, greeting everyone with a happy Christmas and a big smile.
Happy Christmas to you. Happy Christmas, dear. Happy Christmas, dear. Happy Christmas, young fella. Happy Christmas. Happy Christmas, dear. Happy Christmas to you. Good morning, sir. Happy Christmas to you.
Mr. Scrooge?
Yes, that is my name, although I fear it may be unpleasant to you. Please, allow me to ask your pardon. How were your collections yesterday? Please, accept the goodness.
Bless me, Lord. Mr. Scrooge, are you serious?
Absolutely. And not a farthing less, for many back payments are included.
My dear sir, I don't know what to say. 'Tis such generosity.
Please, do not say anything. Come and see me. Will you come and see me?
I will.
Thank you. I thank you 50 times. Bless you.
Scrooge went to church and walked about the streets with pleasant greetings for all, patting children on the head, giving money to beggars, looking into kitchens and houses up to the windows. All of this gave him great pleasure to his great delight. After passing a particular door a dozen times, he found the courage.
Bless my soul, who's that?
Fred, it's I, your Uncle Scrooge. Will you let me in for dinner, Fred?
Wonderful party, excellent games, fabulous food, unparalleled unanimity, wonderful happiness, dancing and singing galore.
It feels so much better when you celebrate. All your worries are less, all your pleasures are great. Embrace what you believe in, the positive way, and you'll feel so much better on Christmas Day.
It feels so much better when family is near. All your pleasures are plenty, all your problems are near. You share your emotions from past and from play. You'll feel so much better on Christmas Day. It feels so much better to give and receive. All your good times are heightened, all your worries relieved. You love one another as you're eager to say, and you'll feel so much better on every day.
15 minutes after 9, Bob Cratchit appeared.
Hello! What do you mean by coming here at this time of day?
I'm very sorry, sir. I am behind my time.
Yes, I think you are. Now, sir, will you step this way, please?
It's only once a year, sir. It shall not be repeated. I was making rather merry yesterday, sir.
I'm not going to stand for it anymore. And therefore, I'm about to raise your salary. Merry Christmas, Bob. And a merrier Christmas, my fine fellow, than I've given you in many a year. I'm going to raise your salary and endeavor to assist your struggling family. And we'll discuss your affairs this very afternoon over a Christmas bowl of mulled wine, Bob.
Scrooge was better than his word. He did it all, and infinitely more. And to Tiny Tim, who did not die, he was a second father. He became as good a friend, as good a master, and as good a man as the good old city did. Some people laughed to see the alteration in this, but he let them laugh, and little heeded them, for he was wise enough to know that nothing ever happened on this globe as good, at which some people did not have the thrill of laughter in the outset. And knowing that such as these would be blind anyway, he thought it quite as well that they should wrinkle up their eyes and grin, as have that illness in less attractive forms. His own heart laughed, and that was quite enough for him. It was always said of him that he knew how to keep Christmas well, if anyone alive possessed the knowledge. May that be truly said of us, and all of us. And so, as Tiny Tim observed,
God bless us, everyone.
Come sing a song in gentleness
And build your love with peace.
disasters.
Let all disasters cease.
The only way to save the day.
Let empathy increase. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy, comfort and joy. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy. Let's hear it for the workers who give their best each day, who bring home all the goodies regardless of their pay. The only way to save the day, let empathy increase. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy, comfort and joy. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy.
Everybody.
Let's sing a song in gentleness by helping all in need. Let's not forget less fortunate and turn away from greed. The only way to save the